Hi guys, I've got two questions for you. What do you do in order to keep track of your training progress? And how do you actually assess your training progress? Today I'd like to discuss with you my standard routine that I follow so as to keep track of my progress. I have to admit that this is something that I was always doing whenever I was training purposefully, as tracking your progress can be a serious motivation to keep you pushing harder and harder. So this started when I was at mid-school and I was riding a road bike, and then during high school when I was riding cross-country. Back then, during the early 2000s, there were no smartphones and applications, and I was keeping a training calendar in which I was writing down all the metrics of the really basic bike computer I was using at that time. Also, I was keeping track of my personal best so as to have an image of the boundaries I had to push so as to progress. Fast forward to my mid-20s, and I was not riding much back then because I had moved to Athens, away from my hometown, and I didn't have my bike with me. But I was running, and I still remember my excitement when I bought my first smartphone and realized that there are applications that can keep track of your route, your time, your running pace, etc. So I started using an application as my new training calendar, and I was quite excited as I was able once more to keep track of my training metrics. But then I got my first street trials bike and I started riding again. And I have to admit that my first years back on my bike was just about having fun, relearning skills that I got when I was riding BMX during my teenage years, and of course learning the core of the bike trial skills. During this period, I didn't have a specific training plan, I was just riding as often as I could. However, everything started to turn around when I got my first proper trials bike and I realized that I have to train more purposefully so as to progress my riding skills. So, as I've already told you at the first video of this series, I started to challenge myself and set specific goals so as to find motivation to push harder. Also, as you already know, last summer I started being coached by Vincent Hermans, and I had to find a new way to keep track of my progress, as bike trials is not like cycling or running in which you can keep a ton of performance metrics using applications on your phone. So, readjusting my mindset for bike trials, I realized that progress is not just about how much higher or further you can get, it's about correcting your technique and fine-tuning your moves. So the one thing I started doing whenever I go out training on my trials bike is to take videos of the core moves I train every time. Actually, I started taking videos as they are the only way to discuss and plan my training routine with my coach. However, I realized that I now use them as an improved way to keep my training calendar, similarly to what I was always doing. In fact, I'm so used to taking videos of my training sessions that I think that I have on video every single session of the past year, and now that I look back to this footage, I get even more motivated to keep trying to become a better rider than I am right now. But I think that I have to get a bit deeper into my riding assessment routine that I follow every time I get back from my training sessions, as just taking videos isn't enough. So, every time I get back from a training session, I transfer the video files from my camera to my PC, and after that, it's time for a bit of video editing. Thus, I load the files to my editing software and cut the videos to isolate the moves I'm interested in. Then, having everything cut, it's time to check the moves I did frame by frame, and every time I try to assess each move given the direction that I have from my coach. I found out that checking out the moves just after the training session allows you to assess the moves taking into account the feeling you got during the session, as I've seen that's a very common misconception to feel that you are doing the move right, but actually you are way far from that. Take a video of your riding moves, guys. Videos don't lie to you. Last but not least, I'd like to share with you another trick that I tried lately, and I found it to be extremely helpful to better understand the details of the riding techniques I try. Actually, this is also relevant to the video editing technique I mentioned above, but it's a bit more advanced as you have to combine two videos together. And you may just have already understood the gist of this one. So lately, I asked from my coach to send me some of his videos so as to compare our techniques, and you can also do this one with any video you think that you want to get compared with. I can't share these videos with you, but I'm going to compare one of my recent videos with an older one to show you the idea of this comparison. Let's take two pedal up to back videos and let's put them one over the other. The first thing that you have to do is to decide about the video that will be a bit transparent, and then you have to select a specific time to align the two videos. So for this example, I'm going to align the timelines of the two videos exactly at the time that my front wheel gets off the ground, and then I'm going to align the two videos by resizing and moving the one of them. And now you've got two videos that are aligned and synchronized. Now it's much more easier to see the differences in technique between your move and the move that you are aiming to get. This is a comparison technique that I've just started doing, and I think that it will be so helpful in order to further understand the details that I have to fine-tune and integrate into my moves. So that's it for today, guys. I hope that I've shared some ideas that will help you keep being motivated by tracking your riding progress, and I would like to tell me about your methods to track your training journey. Do you also use videos, or do you use an actual old-school training calendar? Please let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you like this video, I bet you already know what to do to help the channel grow and motivate me to make more videos like this one. It was so nice to share this one with you, and until next time, try to keep track of your training sessions and see if that works for you. But most importantly, have fun and enjoy riding your bikes. Bye!